What if I told you there was a time when your average, everyday family sedan was secretly built like a tank? Before cars became complex computers on wheels, some manufacturers were quietly building machines so tough, so over-engineered, that they simply refused to die. Today, in Part 1, we're looking back at 6 unexpected survivors, the cars that were built tougher than they ever looked. And stick around to the end of the series, because we're going to reveal the one vehicle that is literally unkillable. And if you love stories about legendary cars, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button now, so you don't miss our deep dives into automotive history. The Saab 900, 1978 to 1993. The Saab 900 wasn't just a car. It was a Swedish engineering statement, written in steel and stubbornness. When Saab engineers designed this beast, they apparently forgot they were building a civilian vehicle, and instead created something that could survive a nuclear winter. Born from aerospace technology, the 900 inherited Saab's aircraft DNA in every bolt and rivet. The turbocharged engines were so overbuilt that mechanics would joke about needing a crane to stress them properly. These motors regularly crossed 300,000 miles while laughing at conventional maintenance schedules. In Scandinavian countries, these cars became the unofficial vehicles for people who measured winter in months, not weeks. They'd start in negative 40-degree Fahrenheit weather, when other cars were basically frozen sculptures. It was the quirky, brilliant car, built by airplane engineers, and it flew past all expectations of reliability. The Buick Lasaber, 1992 to 1999. General Motors' Buick Lasaber from the 90s was the automotive equivalent of that reliable old friend who shows up on time, never complains, and somehow always has gas money. The 3.8-liter V6 engine was a masterpiece of understated engineering. It was basically agricultural equipment, disguised as automotive technology, designed to run forever on nothing but regular unleaded and the occasional oil change. These cars developed a cult following among taxi drivers and traveling salesmen, people who literally lived in their vehicles. A LeSabre could hit 400,000 miles, while still having enough life left to teach younger cars about persistence. It was the unofficial vehicle of America's senior citizens, not because they were slow, but because they were smart enough to recognize genuine quality when they saw it. The Honda Accord, third generation, 1986 to 1989. Honda, in the 1980s, was like that overachieving student who ruins the curve for everyone else. While some American manufacturers were cutting corners, Honda engineers were having meetings about meetings to discuss the optimal thread pitch for a seat adjustment screw. The third generation Accord emerged from an era when Honda's philosophy was brutally simple: build it right the first time, because warranty claims are dishonorable. The engines were masterpieces of mechanical simplicity. Owners routinely reported hitting 300,000 miles with nothing more than oil changes. In developing nations where cars are driven until they literally disintegrate, these Accords are everywhere. Cuban mechanics call them forever cars because they've witnessed them survive conditions that would kill military vehicles. We've seen some surprisingly tough cars so far, but stick around, because we're about to get to the luxury sedan that was so ridiculously over-engineered that the company actually lost money on every single one they sold. The Volvo 240, 1974 to 1993. In 1974, Volvo engineers attended a meeting where someone said, "Let's build a car that's safer than a bomb shelter and more reliable than gravity." Then they actually did it. The Volvo 240 wasn't just built to last. It was engineered to outlive your children, your grandchildren, and possibly several minor civilizations. The design philosophy was beautifully simple. Make everything 3 times stronger than necessary, then add more metal just for safety. The result was a car that looked like a refrigerator on wheels, but had the structural integrity of a bank vault. There are documented cases of 240s with over 1 million miles on them. Scientists studying longevity should probably start by examining a 1988 Volvo 240. The Chevrolet Suburban, 1973 to 1991. Before SUVs became glorified minivans, there was the Chevrolet Suburban. This generation wasn't just built tough. It was constructed like Chevrolet expected it to be used in post-apocalyptic wastelands. This wasn't a vehicle. It was a 4-wheeled survival bunker that happened to have windows. The frame was so overbuilt, it could probably support a small building. The engines, whether you got the small block 350 or the big block 454, were so understressed they were practically bored. These Suburbans were designed for real work, and they never stopped working. They're the automotive equivalent of a sledgehammer. Not pretty, not sophisticated, but absolutely perfect for what they do. The Mercedes-Benz W126 S-Class, 1979 to 1991. When Mercedes-Benz set out to build the W126 S-Class, they apparently decided that cost-cutting was a dirty phrase. This wasn't just a luxury car. It was an engineering manifesto that declared war on the very concept of mechanical failure. The level of over-engineering was so extreme, it bordered on pathological. The doors closed with a bank vault thunk that made other luxury cars sound like tin cans. The paint was layered like a Renaissance masterpiece. The crazy part? Mercedes reportedly lost money on every W126 they sold. The engineering costs were economically insane. It was like they forgot they were a business and decided to become a charity for people who wanted immortal luxury cars. These were the quiet assassins of planned obsolescence, the everyday cars that were secretly built for eternity. But as tough as they were just the warm-up act. Join us for part 2, where we'll unveil the purpose-built legends, the trucks and taxis that were designed from day one to be utterly unkillable. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the epic conclusion.